Marc Rudov. Marc, welcome.
Great to be here, Sue. Let's go, Brandon.
There you go again. Hey, Marc, I just read the list of the people who have filed to become our next senator in the state of Pennsylvania, and the only names on it, the only names missing are your name and my name, because there are so many candidates, so little time. But how do you feel about this? Do you feel that a lot of this is just noise and it's going to boil down to a small group of people who eventually are in the primary?
Well, what I'd like to do is focus on the top four.
Okay.
Because, dealing with the noise is a waste of time at this point. And the top four would be, on the Republican side, Mehmet Oz and Dave McCormick, who hasn't technically filed yet. And on the Democrat side, John Fetterman and Connor Lamb. Now, we have to just cut through all the white noise and get right to it here. And as you know, I do stir it up. You are right about that. Let's see. What do the Democrats have to sell? Well, let's see. CRT, inflation, taxes, mandates, cheat by mail, and illegals flying into your airport under the cover of darkness. So whether it's going to be Fetterman or Lamb, that's what they're going to be selling.
Okay, so let me stop you there then, and ask you, as a guy that knows about branding, and you just named all the detriments that are going on right now. Mm-hmm. How should they sell themselves? And I don't want them to get free advice from you, but what can they do? I mean, what is?
They don't have a choice. They're already bought in, and that's the Democrat Party now. And that's what they're going to be selling. And obviously the easiest answer to your question is do the opposite. But they're not going to do that. So let's look at the Republican side.
Okay.
You have Mehmet Oz, who used to have his own TV program, as known as Dr. Oz, in 100 countries, a lot of media experience, as an MD and an MBA from UPenn. Very smart guy, but he's been tripping over his shoelaces. He doesn't have a good team. He's been making a lot of unforced errors. For example, just a couple of weeks ago, he expressed empathy for Leah Thomas, a man on the women's swimming team at UPenn. That's just insane. That is not something a conservative would do, and he bills himself as a conservative. Now, what about empathy for all the girls who can't compete anymore? How about the empathy for the parents who've been schlepping their daughters back and forth to swimming practice? All for naught because of Leah Thomas. So that's a mistake. Do you know that in June of 2020, Mehmet Oz tweeted the following: "The effects of systemic racism have long been prevalent in the medical field, creating disparities in the health outcomes of black people. And the COVID-19 pandemic has only exacerbated these disparities." Okay, a conservative never says that America is systemically racist. In fact, Mehmet Oz's best friend, Oprah, is a billionaire because of white people. And Barack Obama was twice elected president of the United States because of white people. This is not a systemically racist country. So to say something like that is insane. He had a 10 to 15 second video on Twitter yesterday saying that take back control of your life from Washington. I'm running for U.S. Senate. But he didn't say which party or which state. These are just ridiculous mistakes. Let's look at Dave McCormick.
Yes, and by the way, let's brief the audience on him a little bit, Marc, because I saw his television commercial, which was not a political commercial, but more like a soft opening in Hartford, Connecticut kind of commercial, where he didn't really say he was running, but just talked about a Christmas tree that was sent overseas to him when he was in the service.
Yeah, this is Dave McCormick ran this. He's been running it, still running it. This commercial about how when he was in Iraq in the Gulf War, his father, this family owns a Christmas tree farm. in Pennsylvania and was able somehow to sneak in a Christmas tree to the front line so that Dave McCormick could have a Christmas tree for Christmas. Well, that's wonderful, but who cares? It doesn't have anything to do with anything. Now, he's technically not a candidate yet. He's still operating under the guise of an exploratory committee. But and the other thing I wanted to say, and this is very important, a lot of people accuse Mehmet Oz of being a carpetbagger.
Like me? Are you talking about me, Mark?
No, you're not the only one. But
okay.
I want to say something about that. First of all, in his defense, he's not a carpetbagger. He has a residence in Pennsylvania, and he is in the process of buying a 30-acre parcel of land near Philadelphia. But I want to talk about something to counter that. We have lifetime, long-time PA residents in the Senate and the House of Representatives of Pennsylvania who have allowed this state to fail. They have allowed Marc Elias, then of Perkins Coie Law Firm, to swoop in with his thugs and unconstitutionally change Pennsylvania's election laws to allow cheat by mail. And the Republicans did nothing to stop it. So you can say a guy who just moved here isn't really qualified. And I say, how about the people who have been living here forever, who have allowed this nonsense to happen? But let's move on to Dave McCormick, who has absolutely the best resume of anybody who could possibly want a Senate seat. He's a CEO of Bridgewater Associates, probably the largest hedge fund in the world. Unfortunately, it's done a lot of business with China. West Point, PhD from Princeton, Iraq Gulf War, Ranger, U.S. Army, 82nd Airborne, McKinsey, Undersecretary of Commerce under George W. Bush, advisor to Hank Paulson, who was the Treasury Secretary. He was the CEO of Free Markets, and he is associated with Aspen Institute, which is kind of a left-leaning think tank. His wife is Dina Powell, who was the Deputy National Security Advisor to Trump and is now with Goldman Sachs. And he's supposed to be bringing with him Hope Hicks, who worked for Trump, Director of Strategic Communications, and Stephen Miller, Senior Advisor and speechwriter. So heavy hitter, lots of wealth, huge resume. So here's the bombshell I'm going to drop.
Go right ahead. I told them we were going to do this. I prepped them for this. Yes.
CEOs don't like demotions. CEOs don't go to other companies to become vice presidents. They want to maintain what they have or increase what they have. Why would a guy who's so high-powered demote himself to becoming a lowly senator? Let's look at DeSantis in Florida. Look at all that he's accomplished. He's made Florida one of the best states in the country, right? Economic freedom, personal freedom, economy growing at 6 times the rate of the national average. Only a governor can do something like that. A senator can't do any of that. So that's an executive position. You have to wonder, why isn't Dave McCormick running for governor of Pennsylvania, another chief executive kind of position? Well, here's the reason. I believe that what he's doing is he's setting himself up to be Trump's running mate in 24.
Whoa.
And so he's only good. That's what I'm saying. He's only going to be in the Senate for 2 years, and then he's going to be out. If he were the governor, and I believe he could win that race, and if he would leave after 2 years, the people of Pennsylvania would be pissed. But if he leaves the Senate after 2 years, they'll kind of forgive him. And then Trump can say, look at my running mate. He's from this great swing state called Pennsylvania. It all adds up. He wants to prove that he can get elected, and he's using the Senate. So I believe he's only aiming to be in the Senate for 2 years. So Pennsylvanians have to decide, do I want a guy who's only going to be here for 2 years? Now, Dave McCormick has not told me this, but I use something that they don't teach in school anymore. It's called critical thinking. Why would a guy with so much power and so much wealth be just a senator? There's a reason for it, and I just gave it to you, and I truly believe it. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Now, let's say people say, okay, we're going to vote for him anyway. And let's say 99% of Pennsylvanians want Dave McCormick. He's not going to get elected if we don't fix our rigged election system. Now, just on the 19th of December, our corrupt acting Secretary of State, Veronica de Graffenried, sued Pennsylvania Senate to prevent an audit of the Dominion voting machines. Why did she do that? If there's nothing to hide, she should say, you know what? Come on in, audit the machines. I invite you to, because when you find nothing, you're going to have egg on your faces. You're going to look like idiots. Do it. I encourage you. I invite you. I'll even give you lunch. But no, she's suing to stop it. So if this election system we have is not crystal clear and clean, Republicans can't win, even if they have the best candidate, and even if everybody in Pennsylvania wants that candidate. Because don't forget what Stalin said, it doesn't matter who votes, it only matters who counts the votes. So that's the way I see it, that right now insiders are telling me they want McCormick. Oz has made too many mistakes, and he doesn't come across as a real conservative. But in my heart of hearts, McCormick's just setting himself up for 2 years to become Trump's running mate in 24. That's what I think.
What do you think about the two candidates you mentioned on the other side? What do you think about John Fetterman, and what do you think about Connor Lamb?
Well, the Fetterman is the more progressive. I mean, he dresses like Fidel Castro. He has statewide appeal. You know, you could even call him Fidel Fetterman. Look at his official picture. But the fact is, he is lieutenant governor because people elected him. They like him. He has statewide appeal. Connor Lamb is not really known across Pennsylvania. And again, I'll go back to what I said in the beginning. You either want Connor Lamb, who's a little bit more centrist, or Fetterman, who's more progressive, but they both have a bag of tricks to sell, which is Marxism. They have Biden's policies. That's all they have to work with. They can't veer from that. And, Connor Lamb's going around accusing Republicans of wanting to steal voting ability from people, which is a racist thing to say. It comes down to IDs. And they're saying all the people who say that blacks are too stupid to get IDs are racist, because blacks need IDs to board airplanes, to get library cards, in some cases to buy liquor. You know all the reasons you need to show your license. Well, that's called a picture ID. And to say that blacks can't do it, or that's depriving them of voting, that's racist. And so there's really nothing they have to sell. And if you look at what Biden is doing to this country, if you want more of that and more of that, if you want to slit your throat or cut off your nose to spite your face, you vote for a Democrat. But Pennsylvania can't afford any more of this. And look at Wolf just the other day signed a law that says parents cannot look into the schools to see that they're teaching CRT. Do you want more of this? Then vote for a Democrat. But on the Republican side, it's a little confusing right now. And so if I were Jeff Bartos, I'd be sharpening my hockey skates.
Marc Rudov, you are all you promised to be. I'm going to give it to you. Thanks.
And you have to look me up at marcrudov.com.
MarcRudov.com. It's been our pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome to Northeastern Pennsylvania.
Mine as well, Sue.
Take care.